All right, guys, and welcome to episode 21 of the VFR CBR800 V4 hybrid build. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the VFR800, it's got the V4 engine, which sounds amazing. It's got VTEC technology, which means the extra valves kick on at 6,000 RPM. This bike was bike of the year every year it was made. What we're going to get into today is mounting up the new headers. I'm going to show you those in a second. Also, if you guys want to be the owner of this bike when it's done, it's simple. Just go over to patreon.com/motopilot. You could be the owner of this bike, the only one like it in the world. Let's check out the headers. Okay guys, check these out. These headers are from LexTek exhaust. These guys are out of England and all stainless steel system. Everything's numbered for easy assembly. As you can see here, we've gotten rid of the catalytic converter, which is nice. So we're getting better airflow, we're losing weight. It's got these nice, beautiful welds. If you want this kit, you're looking at about 285 bucks. If you just Google LexTek, you'll see that they're available through like motorsport.com, JMP Cycles, some other USA companies. So let's check out the mufflers. I totally love these mufflers. This is their CP8C Carbon GP Shorty slip-on. And it's just got a great look to it. How long are they here? They're only 7 inches long. They got this big exhaust opening that just looks super aggressive, MotoGP style. So they're gonna be lightweight, they're gonna sound awesome. Our goal is to do a 2 muffler system, so we'll see how that goes as we dig in. These are like a universal muffler you can mount to almost any bike. All right, man, there it is. Let's mount it up. I almost forgot to show you, this is the system we pulled off. You look at it, it's just old, tired, beat up, years of just rain and stains. Big old catalytic converter on there, starving it, making it sound terrible. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll start with the front and work our way back. So one thing you want to do when you're changing your exhaust on these bikes is you want to change out the gaskets here. It's like a brass ring. This one here is flat. It's normally a little bit round, so as it gets compressed, it just flattens out. I'm not going to put those in today because even after I get the exhaust done, it's going to come back off and get coated black. And I'm on the throttle side of the bike. This over here would be the number 2. This over here will be the number 1. I also ordered all new nuts for this thing. These nuts are just old and tired. I mean, they're fine, but I'd rather have new ones. Okay, so each exhaust has a little number 2. So I'm gonna start with the far side first. Stick the gasket back in here. The tricky part is, I guess what I should do is I'll get it started in the hole and then put the gasket in after that. So I got one nut on there. I'm just sliding the gasket in and then I'll put the other flange nut on. Seems a bit strange, but let's hope for the best. Let's get number 1 in place. Oh, something right here. Just not right. All right, that had me worried for a minute there. They actually mislabeled these 2 pipes. This is number 2 pipe. Number 1 goes over here. Number 2 goes over here. And I only got these things like hand tight, just barely tightened. So you want things loose so you can get everything in the right place. This one here is really loose. I'm just gonna slide the gasket in on the top there and then snug it down. Let's work our way back. Because this motor is a V4, you've got 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and they kind of come together and join under here at the bottom of the bike. So I think I'm going to try putting this on first and then putting the 2 back pipes on. So we'll just take this and slide her on. You can see here how everything's loose so I can get things lined up. I've also got a furniture pad underneath the bike so nothing gets all scratched up. Come on, baby. Here we go. Nice. Oh, look at that. Great fit. All right, look at that. So now the back 2 will come into right here. So let's do that. So this exhaust port over here on your clutch side, that apparently is number 4. So let's just kind of work this in. Crazy fit. All right, this is the number 3 hole, so I'm taking the number 3 pipe to this hole here. I couldn't get it in lined up with this and slid into the collector down here. So what I did was I slipped the connector out of the number 1 and 2 pipes, put the pipe in its place, and I'm going to slide it together. I'm going to line it up with the number 3 port, and as I slide it in at the bottom on the number 1 and number 2 pipe, which isn't that hard at all. So I'm just sliding it in number 1 and number 2. It's lined up, and then just kind of wiggle it on. That in there, that lines up. Let's get a couple nuts on her. The 2 exhaust flanges, gaskets, whatever you want to call them, they're kind of stuck in there, so luckily I don't have to worry about those. Let me come around the other side here. How in the world? So now we got number 4 going in the other port here and down to the number 4 fitting on the collector. There's some crazy, crazy, twisty exhaust, I tell you. Okay, so it's slid in all the way into the collector. There we go. If my hands were half the size, this would be a lot easier. Okay, so I got 1 on. Whew, that's hard to get at. Okay, so I got 1 on. Whew, that's hard to get at. This bottom one, I'm probably gonna need a swivel for my socket. Thankfully, I have one of those here in the toolbox. I always want to have one of these when you're doing your exhaust. 10mm socket does the trick. Where is it? Here it is. On a long extension. See if I can get in there with that. Yeah, so I'll just put the nut in the socket here and just wiggle my way in there. It is tight, mamma jamma. Oh wow, I got it. Whew. Amazing. Now that everything's mounted up to the cylinders, let's go ahead and put the springs on here. We've got 2 here at this collector and then 2 at the bottom underneath the motor. The kit comes with all the springs you need. It even comes with this handy little puller device. I want to do this before I tighten the cylinder nuts down. Oh man, that would be hard to do without this puller. There we go. Come on. Do the far one first. It's not in our way. Oh man. There we go. Whew, that was a doozy. Okay. So let's get these tightened up. I've got my 10mm socket, my swivel, my long extension, and my ratchet. And I'm just going to take these snug. I'm not going to crank down on them at all because, you know, we're just trying to fabricate here because, like I said, they're coming back off to get coated. Wow, that bottom one is hard to get at. I might have to get on that with a wrench. Just use the socket where you can. Use the wrench where you have to. I can get this far one over here. Okay. Like these ones here, it's so tight in there, I'll just come on these with a wrench. Just using the box end of the wrench here. Change my mind. I am going to go ahead and tighten these all down to normal tightness because, man, we're going to want to fire this thing up when we get the exhaust fabricated before it gets pulled back off, right? Let's get back here on this back one here. It's not a lot of room, but all right, let's hit the back ones. I can get at this one back here with the swivel from the clutch side. Let's use a longer extension for this other one here. Still using the swivel. Get down in there. Whew, it's a long reach. It's working though. You kind of want to go back and forth with these nuts too. You don't want to tighten one all the way down and then come do the other one. You want to tighten them together. Damn it. You definitely don't want to snap one of these bad boys. Oh, that'd be terrible, getting that stud out of there. All right, and then this one here, oh man, that's too much. You can't even get the socket in here because of this bend, which is real close to the engine. You can do some of it. You guys see that? Yeah. For the bottom one, I'm using the swivel again. If you come in from underneath the pipes, I can get in there actually really easy. There's all kinds of clearance. Yeah, I can get at the top one with my 10mm wrench on the box end. And just take your time. It's not a lot of space, but there's enough. So once you get everything mounted up and tightened down, go back and wipe down your entire exhaust system with a microfiber. Get off any fingerprints. I used a little bit of simple green on here just to cut through any of the grease, because any of those fingerprints that are in your exhaust, when it gets hot, are probably going to stay there forever. So just wipe the whole thing down. But this thing looks fantastic. I mean, it is a great looking exhaust, great fit. I mean, this is a wild, twisty system. Must have been really hard to make, but comes around here, looks so much better. Look at this, is what we took off. This is what we got now. I will say this, it is very tight against that canister right there, maybe even touching it a little bit, but everything's in place now except for the O2 sensors on the other side. Let's go get those in. Now I'm over on the clutch side. This system came with these little temporary plugs. Just take these out. I'm using a 7/8 wrench here. I didn't have a metric wrench big enough, but 7/8 is perfect. Ah, goodness. Okay. Now here's the two sensors. You can tell which one, one's longer than the other. So obviously the longer one goes to the back hole. I always use, matter of fact, on the nuts for the exhaust, I should have used some of this anti-seize. This stuff works great in hot places. Don't use much of it at all. This stuff gets everywhere. Just put a little bit of this on your threads, and when you want to remove these next time, it'll come off a whole lot easier. Make sure you wipe this off your finger as soon as you're done applying it, because like I said, I don't know what it is about this stuff, but it gets everywhere. What I do is I usually will do like a pre-twist the opposite direction. So as I'm twisting this in, it's not twisting up the wires. So just kind of roll it the opposite direction of tightening. You don't have to go super far, maybe a couple turns, turn and a half. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get a little more free play out of this. There we go. This one's not really reaching great. Let me figure out what I can do to get that one to reach. I'm gonna remove this old boot here. This is where all the wires come from. And I need to see what's going on in here to where I can make some more space. Get some more slack in this other wire here. This thing's old and tired anyways, but see these? This is the fitting for the other CO2 sensor here. So how am I gonna get, oh man, I need like another 1/2 inch. I mean, I can move it like that, but who wants these wires in front of their crankcase? That's not cool, not clean. Well, I'm gonna do that for now. This fairing might cover that case. Probably not though, but let's just put it there for now and then we'll figure out how we're gonna lengthen things. I'm gonna have to lengthen those wires. Okay, removing that, I was able to get this started in the hole. I mean, it's pretty tight and the wires are going over the case a little bit. That case might get covered by the fairing. I'm not sure. If not, I'll have to lengthen those wires so they're not visible. And like with these, you want to get them nice and snug. You don't want to crank on them too tight. There we go. So now that we have the complete header on, the next thing to figure out is how we're going to get the dual mufflers mounted to the header. So I have this piece of pipe here that will slide onto the headers, no problem. But it's obviously way too long. It's coming way out here. What we need to do essentially is take this single pipe and make it split into a Y. So there's two. And that's going to take some serious fabrication because the end result is to have something like this. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to give it a shot. We're not actually going to be able to get that in today's video. I need to be able to get the bike off the lift here, get it down to the metal fabrication shop. I can't get there right now. And that's going to be quite a job in itself. So we'll do that in the next video. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Don't forget, if you want to qualify to own this bike when it's done, go over to the Patreon site, sign up. It's super simple. As little as $1 per video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications button so you know when the next video comes out. We're going to tackle these mufflers next. Hopefully we have good success and we can actually hear this thing roar. So see you guys soon in the next episode.